Well, hello. Can people hear us?
Oh, hello.
I hope people can hear us. I'm going to
Let
go
me
with.
unmute myself.
You've muted yourself. I can hear you. That'd be a bit weird if
No,
you.
I can hear us.
That's good. Let's see.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Dom and Tom Sit Talk on Hobby, episode
Yeah,
93.
I went back through the numbers, but we somehow messed up somewhere. We did.
93, episode
No, we actually are
93.
on 93, but we managed to do two episode 91 somehow. I'm not quite sure what happened
Oh,
there,
okay.
but it's cool. It's all.
93 again. Next week is 93 as well.
Yes,
Anyway, I am Dom, and I am joined by...
Tom.
And so basically, guys, if you're new to this, we just sit, we do some hobby and chat 40k and TV and all film and all sorts of stuff. Go through life's big questions. Well, we invite you to do exactly the same. So I'm going to kick things off and tell you what I'm working on. So I'm painting some Legionnaires.
Oh.
I've got 5 Legionnaires. I'm going to do some brass bits on. And then I've got some other models I'm working on. So I've got a little collection here to be painting away, and I was cutting bits of sprues earlier as well. So all good stuff. Tom, what are you working on?
Double Dreadnought.
It's the Dreadnought party.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's been following our Instagram or other things, they should have seen I've been on a bit of a Black Templar drive for painting. Just demons as well, to be fair. So since the Apocalypse game has spurred me on dramatically. However, these aren't new models. These are actually resprayed models, which I, having done. So I just grabbed this guy here. I finished this guy last morning. So this chap, and I decided I like this style now much better than my old style. So now I'm having to go back and yeah, it's a pain. But
Where are you going to stop, Tom? Are you going to do everything
I'm
again?
not. I
Yeah.
the only thing I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I do have one line. I will probably not go back to do my old firstborn infantry.
Oh, okay. So
Two,
no Gem 1.
yeah, for two reasons. Number one, there's a lot of them. Secondly, I kind of phasing into the Primaris thing a bit more heavily unless something drastic happens with the lore. I mean, obviously, something did happen with the Templars a little bit. You know, they didn't like some particular crusade. Wasn't a big fan of the Primaris, but I'm sticking with that. I prefer the models. So
Yep.
um,
That's a good thing
and
to
I have
be
an
doing.
inkling eventually Firstborn will gradually disappear into like more maybe elite units or something, or people that couldn't be.
Or chapter specific units.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like I'm going to get rid of them. I don't plan on buying anymore, and I have a lot of them already.
Fair enough. Fair
So
enough.
yeah,
What's everyone in the chat working on tonight? Hopefully, some people are working on Necrons.
there should definitely be at least one person working on Necrons in that chat.
Yeah.
And if he's
Come on, guys.
not,
What are you working on tonight?
he should be. And yeah, I want to hear your excuse for not working on them.
Yes. Nice. Scorpic Destroyers. There you go. That's what I want to hear.
Chosen and Raptors for Victoria.
Nice. Nice. That's very nice, Vicky. Obviously, Vicky's World Eaters took part in the Apocalypse game. I think we'll talk a bit about that tonight, won't we, Thomas?
Oh, of course. It would be remiss if we didn't.
And if you haven't watched it, make sure to check it out. There might be a couple of little spoilers, but not intentional spoilers. So yeah, make sure to check the game out. One of our biggest games, definitely very memorable.
40,000 points of 40k. You can't really go wrong.
No, you can't. It's all the fours you need,
And the zeros?
and the zeros and everything else. Anyone else working on some hobby, or is it just 2 people in the chat tonight?
Everyone's given up. But no, I don't want a hobby. I just want to look at these two people. Hobby.
They're hobbied
It's
out.
like a weird kind of new thing on YouTube. It's just watching other people hobby.
Yeah, it's like unboxing.
Watch me take this thing out of the box.
Woo!
I mean, unboxing videos have a place. Yeah, they're quite handy if you want to know what actually comes in the box and you're not too sure.
Absolutely.
I think it just.
I was contemplating getting some models the other day,
Oh.
and I decided to go against it for one particular thing. So I was looking at the Contemptor Dreadnought, the
Oh.
plastic 30k one. I was like, oh, a couple of them would be quite cool. I was like, what weapons do you get in there? I mean, you get a good selection of weapons. You could always want more, but yeah, that was a good selection. But I eventually stepped away from that and decided to go with some other bits and go down a slightly different direction. I'll tell you what I got from Goblin Gaming. You might have heard of them, Tom.
I've definitely heard they've had a lot of my business last couple of weeks. I can tell you that right now.
I've gone for 3 Chaos Predators.
Oh, we went with some Predators. You didn't mention that the other day.
No. Well, I was umming and ahhing between several things, and I
Very
was.
cool.
We'll kind of go into the Apocalypse game as well. I like to think every time I have an Apocalypse game, I kind of analyze what my forces did and what my forces did well, and what my forces kind of maybe lacking a little bit. And we met up yesterday, and I said the Apocalypse game, what would have been quite cool, more flyers on the board. So learn from that. Maybe we have more flyers next time, and we've got our Apocalypse game coming up in a couple of months.
Flyers, so
yeah. So in our Apocalypse game, there'll be some flyers popping up.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, we've already planned the next one, and it's actually coming quite soon. In December.
Penciled it in.
So keep an eye out for that.
That will be classic Tom versus Tom.
Yeah, Templars word bearers with some ancillary forces of some description, I'd imagine, on both sides in certain ways.
Auxiliaries.
I suspect the Titans will make an appearance as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that was a cool thing. I actually got to play on my Titan for the first time.
And I got to play with mine properly.
Yeah, very fun. Yeah, that was a nice baptism, getting the big guys out and rolling lots of dice with them.
Yes, disgusting actually, quite frankly, from both sides. Although I think your Titan had the better luck of the shooting, in my opinion. I think.
Yeah, I think for yours, I'm pretty sure there's one round where everyone's invulnerable saves kicked in.
Yes.
And it was like,
oh. So you managed to pass all 2d6 of those shots. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. A bit anticlimactic, isn't it?
But there's other things that you can use. It was just we could say very differently of Matt's Ultramarine tanks, which had a bit more luck on the day, I think. So you can't have everything have luck, otherwise there's not much left on the board.
And we had some good selection of super heavies. We had obviously the 2 Titans, the 2 Warhounds, the Chaos Warhound and the Imperial Warhound. Different weapons as well, so that's worth mentioning. Both different loadouts on weapons. Chaos side, we had a Lord of Skulls.
Bloody Lord of Skulls.
In command of Lord of Skulls. And we had my Knights, which have now retired back up here for now, recovering. And on the Marine side, there were a couple of Spartans and a lot of Marine super heavy tanks.
Which we didn't normally see, to be fair, so it was quite nice.
We don't normally see, so it was a nice selection. It wasn't just all Knights, and it wasn't all big tanks.
I think we had a Fellblade, Cerberus, Falchion.
Yep.
So yeah, good. So if you haven't seen those before, definitely check that out, because I mean, one of them has a particularly good accident. So
yeah, so yeah, come and check out the game if you haven't already. But they were all beautifully painted in the colours of MacLeod. Yeah, I definitely got a bit. Yeah, I got a bit of envy.
Yeah.
Looking at the models, I was like, oh my goodness, I've seen pictures of this, but I really like the look of it now.
I especially like the Falchion personally. That was a very good looking Space Marine tank.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one that I would potentially end up purchasing, because I think it would look better in black. Sorry, Matt.
Yep, sorry. He's taken it. He's pinched your Falchion. Yeah, so there were some very cool super heavies, and definitely nice selection for next time as well. I've got a feeling the next Apocalypse game, if we do another massive one like that, we'll also have different super heavies again.
May even have completely different factions.
Maybe.
We don't know.
Yeah, if Phil Parker could start, probably
churning out some actual
paint,
serious models count.
yeah, if he could paint out 20,000 points of necrons sometime soon, that'd be absolutely amazing.
He's got to pump his rookie numbers up.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, under 3,000 for an army. I mean, come on. It's a bit
I
awkward,
didn't
isn't
know
it?
we were playing Kill Team.
Me and Dom don't get out of bed for less than 10,000.
Yeah. Didn't know we're doing Combat Patrol.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I suppose the one thing that's nice about Apocalypse games is when they do end. I think there's two ways. I think Apocalypse can end depending on how you kind of found the game. You can kind of go into that thing where, I've had enough 40k for a couple of weeks, you know, or you can have a similarly kind of opposite effect, which is what I think kind of happened to me this time. I really enjoyed it a lot, and it's made me much more focused on my painting at the moment. I don't know how long that will last. We'll see. Because I find myself snatching any spare minute at the moment to paint.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there was, yeah, you're right. Sometimes you can walk away from it and going, actually, I'm absolutely exhausted. I could do with a bit less wargaming for a bit. I've literally done my points for a good 6 months now. I don't have to contribute anymore. Or you can walk away and go, actually, I tell you, like I said, what I did well at, what I could have done better at, what my army kind of needs to make look a bit different. And I was like, yep, I'm getting these things, because I was kind of umming and ahhing. I know David knows if he's still listening. Between like Terminators, the Walker Brigade, and the Predators, and I was like, I could get Walkers, or I could get Predators, or I could get Terminators. And I was like, well, Walkers, I kind of like the imagery of the Walkers, like just thundering forward, smashing people in the face. And then I was like, Terminators will teleport and then thunder forwards and punch people in the face. Or Predators is something I don't really have. And I definitely became very apparent that I do need some more long range firepower, because a lot of my chaos stuff, and we were talking about this during the game, that chaos stuff is very much combat orientated. Everything's up in your face, very mid range stuff. And I was like, actually, I probably need some longer range support weapons, not just everyone that's got a chainsaw go forward and hack someone up. So yeah, that was my takeaway from it, really. And Dave Holland obviously played in the game, playing his Space Wolves. Next one is should have a decent Custodes army ready to go then. Oh, nice. Yeah, Custodes are very cool. And that's what I mean. It's a nice selection of armies as well for the Imperial. And I think the Chaos Forces were definitely quite represented when we had, you know, World Eaters, Thousand Suns, Chaos Knights.
It was a very colourful force.
And obviously Chaos Space Marines. So it was a very nice, well-rounded force. And also, you know, you had the Space Wolves on one side, the kind of Black Templars mixed in with the Ultramarines. The Ultramarines, although there was some pretty good advancing, there was a lot of like counter pushing and attacks there as well. So it was, you know, a really cool army nonetheless. It'd been quite nice to see maybe a slightly different Imperial army next time. I think we kind of talked about it before. I've got my Guard. I've got my Sisters of Battle as well. Yeah. It'd be quite nice to get them out for a game.
Well, you see, we could always reverse sides, you see. So
yeah, exactly. You could do your Night Lords and your Death Guard and your Demons.
Got my Demons, because that's, as I said, that's one of the ones I've been looking at expanding quite heavily as my Demons. So it's always a good, for the big one we can definitely, because I mean, you probably don't want to play the same one every time you play. But we have the luxury of actually at least picking a couple of armies, so.
And kind of talking with Felpire there as well, I think Necrons, I'd love to see my Necrons in a big Apocalypse game. They're itching for it. There's been, I think, about 6,000 points of Necrons at the moment, so it's definitely getting bigger. And
just getting to that doable.
Christmas coming, hopefully. If I get some vouchers or some things, I can kind of, you know.
Is that a hint?
Yeah, we can get a Demon Force on the board for an Apocalypse game. A Demon Force, a Necron Force.
I think you want to play Demons, clearly.
Yeah, I do, against the Demons. Let's see how my Gauss and Tesla do against you.
Well, I mean, my first goal for my demons is about, I think, an 8,000 point army from all 4 gods. Yeah, that's my first goal. It's not going to be super spectacular in any way, but it will be enough to sort of be able to play any of the 4 gods individually in the game, or add them all together for something a bit more spectacular in a big game. So
Yep.
that's definitely how I'm thinking about that at the moment.
David is loving demons lately. Yeah, demons have got some cool stuff. That new Apocalypse game, we had the like the Nurgly Warp Storm or Nurgle kind of just killing off the old Marine. Yeah, Beast of Nurgle. And then saying it'd be quite cool if you had more gods represented and you could just be
Yes,
spending those points, like just pumping out more mortal wounds.
100%. I agree. And you know, it's one of those ones actually where I would love to have a pure demon army against an imperial or other force. I think that'd be quite cool. Because especially if you've got all the gods represented, it's such a variation in units. But I'll tell you the one thing I was looking at when I was putting together this potential army is that it's going to be very expensive.
It is.
Beast and Nurgle, £28 each or 25 on Goblin Gaming.
Oh, Goblin Gaming. In case you're unaware, guys, hello, Captain Jack.
Oh, welcome.
It is Tuesday. There is a link below. Click on there for some hobby goodness and help the channel grow. But also get yourself some nice models in the meantime. Puppies, yes, they are puppies. Beast and Nurgle are puppies.
I'd agree. They're so happy. But yeah, I mean, I think the one thing I like about Demons, anyways, is the slightly different paint method on all 4 of the gods. Which it makes a change from doing things like this. I mean, admittedly, I think at the moment I'm in that kind of zone of perfecting this particular style and craft, if that makes sense. Because I've only done this particular paint style on a few models now, and I've actually started to get a bit more of my eye in and how to do it, and my edge highlighting's been getting progressively better, I think. It's quite a tough one to master in some cases, so I've just been enjoying getting that down as a part of sort of moving on the Templar army a little bit. I have also got some Sword Brethren to do, which look very cool. Got to decide how I'm going to kit them all out.
Yeah, well, this is the kind of thing I was looking at the Terminators. I was like, oh, should I change what weapons? And I was like, oh, it's just cursed weapons now. It doesn't really matter.
No,
might give the champion a chain fist, but except for that, nothing matters.
It's a bit easier, isn't it, I suppose, but also a bit less choice.
Yeah. Which I kind of like, to be honest. It's frustrating, the amount of times you kind of think about the loadout, and then you're worried about, oh well, I only get 2 lightning claws. How am I going to get more lightning claws? Now it's just like it will get +1 attack. It's fine.
Yeah.
So that's quite refreshing in that way. Although I think that obviously you can still have the combi bolters and different types.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. And also there's some heavy weapons as well, can't you? So it's a shame you don't have the same variant like the Imperial, which is like an assault variant where they're just assault based.
Yeah, I don't know. I think at this moment, obviously, Chaos Terminators. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, happy to change as well. Chaos Terminators are so much better than Imperial Terminators. So I think it's just better generally. I mean, they've always had that where they can just have the one build. The only benefit would be is that you can have 6 squads of Terminators instead of 3. But yeah, I'm happy the way they are at the moment. They're a good mix of combat and a bit of shooting in there as well.
That's fair enough.
So, Jack, what are you working on hobby-wise tonight? Something nice? Hello, Steve-O.
Hi, Steve-O. Shane G did an update Furies with the new... Yeah. That's actually that is a fair comment because I was looking at Furies to bulk out my was it the Zinch one or was it Sinesh? Because the thing I find funny about Demons, I think we were talking about this the other day as well. Your roster, so to speak, you can choose from. It's pretty light for each god. I know as a whole, if you put it all together, you've got some pretty cool combos. But actually, when you're looking at each god's selection of stuff, it's like, oh, I get one thing. Great, you know. I'm obviously I'm fairly hopeful this will change over time, but I don't know because I think they're trying to. I suppose they're trying to go away from that mono god build, aren't they? In some cases, so we'll see. We'll see.
Well, yeah, exactly. Go away from mono god, but it'd be that case where actually the Furies are undivided, aren't they? So they would have been the perfect thing to jump in on that. And the thing is as well, they had the Warcry models, which kind of like looked like they could be the
Yeah,
Furies, and
that's
it was
true.
like, no, we're not going to bother. We're going to stick with these ones for now.
They looked at the faction and went, "Oh, chaos. Oh, we can't. Oh, it's not imperial."
Yeah.
Doesn't have
Well,
lieutenant in the name. What?
yeah. That's not Primaris. We can't have another one of them, can we?
Siva says, oh sorry, Jack first. Sorry, building some chaos knights, the lance and horsey type. Mm. And
Nice.
Steve O is saying, cool if you just want to represent undivided with some. Yeah, it is. That is cool. That, to be fair. I mean, actually, I think the one positive that came out of the Demon Codex is actually the way that you can now tag it on as Agents of Chaos kind of faction with your So, like, if you play, for instance, if we play Death Guard like me, I can tag on a Nurgle without losing the effects of my Death Guard Codex, which is actually quite nice.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I suppose the ironic thing about that is that was back. You remember, obviously, you remember the days of Soup, Dom. It seems like they've taken a little step back in that direction, which is quite amusing because they did the same for Imperial, didn't they? With Imperial agents. So
Agents of the Imperium are there. Obviously, they're the
yeah,
knight to get the free blades.
exactly.
What other
We got the
units for
assassins.
assassins?
Um,
I don't really count the assassins as anything but a one model thing.
no, they're
It's
a
kind of
bit
like
of
a
fun.
Fabius Spile or a Cipher. It's
Yeah,
like, well, one model. But so put them aside. You've got the free blades. Inquisition. They don't
Inquisition
really have a
probably.
codex.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Inquisition they come out with individual models, don't they? And they normally have the rule set included with them, so you kind of just play it as.
I think they've still got some bits at the moment, haven't they? They've got like the demon hosts.
I can't remember if Death Watch can be taken as agents in the Imperium when you're playing in a
Guys,
norm.
what what armies have the option to have agents of the Imperium?
Everyone's gonna know this, aren't they? Yeah. We've picked a weird subject again.
We can do this. We can do this. Come on.
Oh, come on, legs.
Road traders. Yeah, road trade the kill team stuff.
Black Fortress.
Yeah, that's the one. Black Fortress.
Never played that.
What other ones are there? There's a couple of raid traders, aren't there?
I think so.
The Gelapox guy.
I would like to see another Inquisition style codex come out at some point. I think that would be quite cool. Where actually sort of you get rules for drawing from various factions. You know, that is actually the codex. So
Yeah.
that they can pick like a X amount from a Adeptus Status chapter, X amount from a Guard battalion, that kind of thing. I think that'd be quite an interesting. I mean, obviously it turns it into more of a major super army, but they'd have to put limits on how that was divvied up. I think for it to be kind of a fair / working set.
What's your views on soup, Tom?
If it makes sense, I don't have a problem with it. I suppose. I mean, if it's played for the right reasons, like if it's I suppose a narrative reason, or in a fun game or something like that, I think using soup to gain major advantages by sort of playing with the rule set in certain ways, I wouldn't necessarily be that enthused about playing against because, well, it can be a bit if you're doing it to get rules to sort of transfer over in sneaky ways, that can make armies quite nice. But they're saying that you don't really see many of those armies competing nowadays, I don't think, do you? So
think it's quite hard to make a.
Yeah,
Because would you want to make a competitive soup army?
probably not nowadays. No. Um,
Because you spend all your CP, your limited CP,
on buying
on
the
these.
detachments. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I suppose actually maybe it's not as bad as it used to be. I mean, back in the day, it used to be awful because you used to get a knight and go, "Well, I'm going to give this knight the best guard, like the best protection units out of all these codexes or whatever, because you could used to be able to mix and match up to 3 codexes, wasn't it, I think. Um,
but
although,
then, for instance, the way I kind of see a chaos soup at the moment, well, a base of word bearers,
hmm.
Lorgar all the way, people. Then obviously a detachment of demons because you'd be summoning your demons in, boop, 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 boop. And then probably a dreadblade of
Okay.
some sort would be quite good. But then once again, you're taking a lot of your points away to put all these little gimmicky bits in, but maybe they work.
I just think suits better in a narrative setting where there's a reason for the two factions to have joined up and fight. I think that's quite cool. Um, I think suit for chaos is more fluffy. Jack says, yeah, I think I would agree with that.
100%, yeah. I think, and I think also soup's good from a collecting point of view.
Yes, that's
That
one.
like you're saying right now, that you can get bored of painting Black Templars. So then to break it up and go, actually, I'm going to do a rogue trader detachment, or
Well, I've
I'm
got my
going to paint a
knights.
knight,
Doing a couple of
or
knights.
I'm going to paint something else. Yeah, you got other options, haven't you?
Yes. So from that point of view, yeah, I agree that that's a nice it's a nice break from what you're typically doing. Um, Speaking of which, let's get this out here. Let's do a mix of these.
I don't know.
Actually,
Maybe they should bring out Dogs of War for 40k and have like proper like Kroot mercenaries that you can just put a little detachment of Kroot mercenaries in, or some
oh,
sort of auxiliaries
that sounds cool.
into a Necron army.
Um, but obviously, I think I think it does help anyone who wants to collect multiple armies. I think it's a good thing in that way. But again, I like a bit of sense to why, from a narrative sense, that those units would be with your army. So for instance, my knights are a knightly crusade based around the Templars having saved their kind of feudal world, whatever it is, and they've pledged a little knight lance to assist this crusade.
Yeah,
So for me, it's like, yeah, I don't mind having the odd knight. I very rarely actually run them together, to be honest, um, because I just I like the Black Templar army as a whole anyway, without actually adding a knight. I think I just like it. But it's nice to know that if there's a big crusade that's getting together to have a big battle, they're there to back them up in certain situations. Um, it's one of the reasons I had my guard recruitment army. That was my idea behind it. But yeah, obviously my guard are no longer anymore. If anyone didn't know, they have been removed from my possession now. I have sold them. Sad, but at the same time, I think it was actually rather, I suppose, cathartic to get rid of them actually, because I wasn't really that interested in playing them. Just having it out of my hobby spaces cleared my deck and my mind from worrying about, oh, what am I going to do with them? What am I going to do with them?
absolutely.
Same with the
Yeah,
Grey Knights. Same with the Grey Knights because I sold my Grey Knights as well, which I don't think I'd actually played one game with actually in ninth edition. So that kind of tells you where I was at with them. It's it's
yeah, it's
addictive
fun.
selling armies. No, I don't agree with that. It's addictive buying more armies with the proceeds of selling the army. I think that's probably where the addiction comes in.
Yeah, balance still a bit skewed, isn't it?
Yeah. Um, Essentially, I used a little bit of the money to buy a new Leviathan Dreadnought, um, some Swordbrother, and then a Beast of Nurgle for my other armies, which was nice, but it's not something I would make a habit out of doing. I think it was more for me. It was definitely about going. I don't play these armies anymore. I have no interest in relearning the rules for them. Um, I think the only thing that would ever make me play Guard again is possibly a Krieg army,
Yep.
but there would have to be very good model support for it. Not, I don't want to go down the forge rail route for them at all. Could be very expensive. Although I think have they started thinning them out now?
But
As in the model range on forge rail for the Deathcore Krieg. Have they been?
I don't know. Last time I looked, they were on last time offer,
Yeah.
last time buy, but there might still be some units on there.
Interesting.
But yeah, who really knows, to be honest? Yeah, it's a hard one, really. I've still got. I think I played all my armies in 9th edition now. Let me have a look.
I mean, my orcs are definitely still on my mind to play with because I've actually really enjoyed the last couple of games I've had with them, and I want to expand them out a bit. I mean, God knows if I'll ever get up to an apocalypse size. I mean, probably. It's just for me they're very slow grow.
Yeah, but it's about what you enjoy as well, and I think like most of my armies here. And it's what I'm kind of saying about Soup as well. That my Chaos Force can all come together for the 83rd. And Jack was saying it makes a lot of sense in the narrative. That for instance, Chaos Space Marines. I don't know if you're aware, Tom, are particularly self-centered and egotistical. And if they can prevent themselves from dying by pushing a mortal in the way, 100% they'll do that. They're never gonna try and save them.
No, really?
So what I like to do is chuck that element in there, that you've got these kind of mortal fodder, but also you're then bringing the other stuff in to help them out, like demons as well. The word bearers see demons as cannon fodder, as well as.
I hadn't heard that. That's weird.
So they chuck everything in. Let's save those save those 30 bolt rounds from the siege. That was 10,000 years ago. And send some other people in.
I mean, if anyone's read the Siege Tale, I think everyone knows this is very true of Chaos. We're going to win. No, send them in first. All 10 million of whatever it was.
It's send in the chaff.
They'll be fine. Sorry, I'm just concentrating on doing this lovely little wash at the moment. I'm trying to avoid stuff.
Problem is, tonight we are actually doing hobby talk.
I know. This is actually. I found myself just sitting. Well, I'm actually genuinely painting at the moment, and I am not a very good chatter paint. I tend to. I don't know about you when you're doing when you're just hobbying. I tend to either put some music or something on the background. I don't really pay much heed to what's going on around me.
Yeah. I don't tend to watch things when I'm hobbying.
No.
I tend to listen to things. So yeah, at the moment, actually. Oh, so yeah, we'll go on to that. Basically, on Audible, I've now started the Night Lord trilogy again.
Is that the Soul one? Because I've actually got a credit at the moment. And I was pondering what to get next. To be fair.
Okay. So yeah, I've downloaded the first in the series, which is.
I was going to ask because I think you've recommended
Soul Hunter.
That's the one. So that is that one. Okay, because that was the one I was actually genuinely going to have a little look at. But it sounded interesting.
Yeah, so Soul Hunter, Blood Reaver, and another one. Night Haunter, I think.
Yeah.
And I think anyone that is still watching and has read them or listened to them will probably also agree that they are brilliant and worth getting.
Because you've already listened to them once, haven't you?
No, well, I read them once. So I'm now listening to them because, it's easier. So
sadly, I know it's really bad, isn't it? When you think about it, because I used to read a lot, and I know you did as well. And nowadays, it's very much like, I can listen to it in the car.
Yeah.
Have it on while I do something. I don't have to concentrate on reading, which I know is just not the best thing to do. You're trying to keep your brain active, I suppose. Only activating certain portions of your brain doing the listening rather than the reading. But it's still, you kind of have to think. Well, actually, it's still, especially got a good. If someone's a really good reader for the actual book, they can be so much nicer to listen to. So
Is it Jonathan Keeble?
he's good, yeah.
Ah, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I could listen to him
Because
all day.
he's the Horus Heresy narrator, isn't he, Jonathan Keeble?
The Siege of Terror.
Yeah, Siege Terror.
Yeah,
So yeah, he's he's very good.
yeah. He's definitely made that series. To be honest.
I don't think I can actually listen to it as someone else now. I think if they just had to change, for whatever reason, if you went, sorry, Keeble can't do it this time, it's like, oh well.
Oh, imagine if it gets to the final one and they're just like,
that would be awful. When they got someone in who wasn't very good, or just sounded so different that it spoilt that kind of immersion for you. That'd be a horrible thing to happen. But it does happen occasionally. So I've had a couple of series I've listened to. They've changed the narrator either because they couldn't get hold of them, or something's happened to them, and you're halfway through. This is odd. I think the worst one is if they. Because by the way, just to say, no, I have nothing against like American narrators or British narrators either way. But the worst one is when they have a British one start off the narration, they switch to an American person halfway through, or vice versa, because you're like, this is weirded out the whole cadence of the novel, and listening to it and everything. It's like, this is just very odd.
Well, I think one of the similarities are that when you're reading, for instance, I haven't listened to any of the Gaunt's Ghost stuff.
Well, you haven't? Oh, no.
No, I've just read the books because part of the reason I haven't listened to it is because in my mind I know how they sound, and that's how they sound. But on the other side, with like Keeble, for instance, the way he portrays like Horus and Dawn and like Sigismund, if someone else put those voices on, you'd be like, no, that's not right. That's not how they sound.
Yeah, he's. I know what you mean. Also, I think Keeble's got a really good way of when it goes into action, he can switch between a very slow pace to going into like an action. Because honestly, his voice just goes mental.
Every time he says booming,
yeah,
I'm sure the authors put it in the books just so they can hear Keeble say booming.
And yeah, so just so you're aware, with regards to Gaunt's Ghost, it's Toby Longworth that does those ones. He's also quite good as well, by the way, I might add.
Yeah, I'm sure I've listened to some of his stuff.
I'm trying to think what he. I'll try.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, Jack those.
Yeah. Listen to some of his when he's doing some of the the dueling scenes where there's big fights going on, but he manages to take the scale of something really big and then apply it to and switch suddenly into that small scale. I get that sense that he does that really well personally.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to do. Good narration. You can.
I'm just going through the narrators on some of the ones I've got. Yeah, so Toby Longworth does the Eisenhorn ones.
Yes, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's good.
There are
well,
some good ones actually.
He's good.
What other ones have I got here? Josh. John Banks. He's quite good. I quite like John Banks.
I've not heard of him. What one's he done?
He's done the Fabius ones.
Oh, I haven't listened to any of the Fabius ones, to be fair.
But the Fabius ones are very cool. Like I said before, my description for the Fabius novels would be Hogwarts for Chaos Space Marines. That's how it goes.
Nice. That's another thing. Yeah, I mean, I've had a credit sitting there for a couple of days. I haven't run out and got anything because I'm currently listening to I'm re-listening to a couple of other books which aren't actually 40k related. I've got about 20 hours left on that. Then I'll have a think about what book I want to get. I think. But yeah, I haven't really listened to it because you keep saying First Heretic as well.
Oh man, yeah, you haven't listened to First Heretic.
No, I know it's word bearer.
I take it back. Go back.
Yes.
Step away from the Night Lords and do First Heretic because that is First Heretic. Was that ADB on that one? Oh yeah, ADB. Yeah. That's Gareth Armstrong. He's quite good as well.
Mark Strong. Yeah, you can't. I mean, Mark Strong just has an awesome voice. To be fair.
Cypher's Kane one.
I haven't listened to
I've got a couple of Cypher's Kane ones. Let's have a look. Who does them?
We said I think Jack's saying it's Mark Strong, isn't it?
I don't think it's Mark. I don't think it is Mark Strong. I think it should be Mark Strong, but it's not.
I would love actually to have Mark Strong go back and redo the Eisenhorn novels. That would be quite cool. because ever since there was a lot of talk about casting him as Eisenhorn, I could actually see him very easily playing Eisenhorn actually.
Yeah, I'm sure I got some Cyphers Kane one on here.
And he also
Definitely.
voice over the video game they did a little while ago.
Stephen Perring is the narrator of Cyphers Kane.
Cyphers Kane, is that the really actiony one?
It's kind of like Blackadder.
Yeah. Okay.
So obviously you got Gaunt's Ghost, which are sharp, and you got
Yes.
Cyphers Kane, which is Blackadder.
Yeah, maybe not my style then. I like Blackadder, but I don't know if it suits me for 40k. I think I tried it comedy wise in 40k. I like to have it from that, I suppose that coming from that grim dark kind of area and coming over, but I'm not if it's just comedy for comedy's sake in that setting, I'm not sure I'd enjoy it as much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, at some point you can give it a go, but there's plenty more other stuff out there.
Say, the nice thing about it, there is so many to pick from. Honestly,
I mean, one of my favourites was the Necron one, which the Infinite and the Divine. That is pure
is that a
brilliant.
Trazine special? Is it, I presume?
Yes, yeah, and it is. I was a bit skeptical going in there because I kind of think if it's a Xeno one, can you really, attach yourself to a Xeno? When like with like Siege of Terror and all that stuff, you can kind of go, humans versus humans or humans versus filthy aliens, great. But then when it's Xeno and Xeno with more Xeno, how do you get involved in it? And no, I'm really glad I took the gamble because it is so good.
Okay, I'll bear that one in mind. I've had to stop painting for a bit now, not because I actually want to, but because I have to let them properly dry before I do anything else to them now. I'll just put a load of the contrast paint on as a wash, so if I touch it, it'll skin and break, and it won't be very nice.
Oh dear, oh dear. That would be very sad, Thomas.
Could be. I put a lot of effort into them. Makes me cry. Although I'm looking at that one, I think I might have gone a bit too thick on some of the edge highlights, but we'll see. It's hard to tell at this particular stage. Oh, Humble One, we've got another audio drama book on. Oh, I'll have to have a quick look actually. Let's have a look. Don't know if you know about Humble Bundle, Dom, but
yes, Tom, I do indeed. I'm pretty sure you've shared it a few times in the past.
Yes. Sometimes you can get a lot of decent books on there for 40k era. Yeah, they have another Black Lady Audio Tales one on. What have we got here? Okay. We've got a 21 bundle item at the moment, which is the Wolf Time, Cadia Stands, Regent's Shadow, Dark Imperium Goblight, Swords of Kauth, Visorious Call, Ethereal Stern, Our Martyred Lady, The Gate of Bones. Yeah, these are all of the. I think these are all the audio. Some of these are audio dramas, aren't they? I never feel like I get enough value out of the audio drama ones. To be fair.
Yeah.
I think you.
Yeah, I think if it's under 10 hours, I'm not interested.
Yeah. Oddly enough, that's how I do the filter on when I'm looking for books.
Yeah, boring.
Yeah. However, I am going to get First Heretic now that you've mentioned it. I'm going to add it to my list.
Yeah, honestly. I've said it before, First Heretic. If you're going to listen or read one Horus Heresy book, or that is the one you want to be listening to or reading, because it's just got everything you want in there.
Has it got your favourites in it, isn't it?
Got all my favourites in it.
There we go. It's in my list.
Nice.
14 hours. That's a bit weak.
Yeah, sorry. Sure, you could slow it down and make it last longer.
Oh yeah, I've heard. Do you know what, Steve? I've heard the same about that as well. Actually, I haven't really listened to anything with the Iron Warriors. Actually, to be honest,
I've got that one. The Primarch. Yeah, the Primarch one's quite good. What Primarch ones have I got? I've got that one. And
the Primarch ones, unfortunately, they're a bit shorter as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they tend to be a bit short. And so, for instance, with so Porter Arbo and Lorgar, I got both by Keeble. Oh, and Alfarius as well. Yes, All the good ones. Alfarius is really good. I don't know if you've listened to that,
No.
Steve, or read
Oh,
that.
sorry. I
I know you haven't. Um, but that's really good.
Too much chaos, Dom.
Highly
It's weird.
highly recommend that. Or is it chaos? Who knows? Who knows if
See,
it's chaos?
Steve, that's one reason I probably wouldn't have actually read it unless someone actually suggested it, because I have no real interest in Perturbo as a Primarch. I find him vaguely boring, to be fair. But I suppose that's his.
That's his power.
Yeah.
Be vaguely boring. Everyone just loses concentration.
But you could say the
and walks
same
away
about
from them.
Dawn, couldn't you? You know.
Yeah, I
He's
would
got-
say
yeah.
before the Siege of Terror, Dawn was probably one of the more boring ones.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately he wins you over with his, I suppose, his pure stoicism, really, in the books.
Yeah.
Just seeing how much pressure he's under during the sieges. Do you know what? He's
Yeah.
an actual absolute badass. I mean, to be fair, I can't disagree that I do think Perturbo probably is a badass. To be honest, he is. Yeah, he's the few little snippets ahead. I mean, obviously, I don't want to spoil anything for Siege of Terror. He's got some good bits in the Siege of Terror books, to be fair, and you just see how, I suppose, underrated. But that's his thing. I think.
Well, the thing is, as well, like if you think about Portarabe, let's talk about Portarabe.
Okay.
That he is one of the few that was able to resist the gods for a very long time. During the siege next to Horus, who Horus at this point is just like crumbling away, like, oh, I can't control the powers, I've gone mad. Portarabe is like, look, hold my beer. I'm going to be doing this siege. Like, and the more you listen to it or read it, the amount of like troops, vehicles, ships, and what he's got to achieve, and it's so perfectly planned. So much of this, and Portarabe is just like he's just owning it. He's just constantly got the Imperials on the back foot until he kind of has a little hissy fit and storms off, and then it just turns into and in the late ones, you just see it's a rabble, but all organisations just falling apart, and it's just like, bleh.
Oh, and Jack, by the way, I'm not insulting Dawn. That's his character. He's a very stoic, boring character, in my opinion. But I know that if he gets to anger, he is a badass as a Primarch. He's not bad. I'm just saying that his outer demeanor is very, proper. I think is probably the best way to look at it. I suppose. He's deep. Exactly. Yeah, that's it. He's deep. He's. But they do that really well in the book. I think that comes across in the books. If you anger him, watch out. But at the same time, he's got that kind of real stable, I'll be here till the end kind of guy. He's the guy you want in the trench line with you at the end. Come on, I play Templars. I'm the Sigismund guy, a bit more kind of like, okay, let's get the sword. Let's go sort this guy out. That's my.
Yeah, same for Dawn though, because you can't imagine the siege of the defenses being like held by the Khan or by Sanguinius. It's all Dawn that's been able to hold it together for so long, and like everyone's got their own role, and it's literally just siege masters against each other.
Yeah.
And they're able to take on all this information and just work out where to best put their resources. So it's like, really impressive. And then, seeing Dawn or Portarabe in combat is pretty brutal.
I mean, Sanguinius is pretty spot on as well, by the way. That guy is, especially the latest book you haven't listened to. It's, can't remember what it was called, but I used one credit on an Iron Warrior story and only realised I'd screwed up when it was all over in about an hour. Oh, no. Yeah, I know. I've
almost fallen for that, Steve.
Yeah, we've all. I think I know. I think Dom, we've done it a couple of times when we've been driving up to Warhammer World, and we've been listening to like a book, and it turns out to be an audio, and we're like, oh, this is good. And it's like, 40 minutes, but we're only 40 minutes into our journey. This is not good.
Rubbish.
I think I remember that. I think it was that Titan one, wasn't it? I think I bought it at Forge World or Black Library in Warhammer World to listen on the way back, and it only got us about halfway.
Yeah.
wasn't bad. That was the one with the. That was actually an Iron Warrior one. Actually, oddly enough, wasn't it? There was an Iron Warrior corrupting a Titan from the inside gradually.
Yeah, that was quite good.
That was actually a good story, but it did feel like it was quite quick. Um, but it was
But
yeah.
yeah, so going back to the Primarch ones, Lorgar one's good, especially if you're a Werebearer fan. But the Alfarius one is really good. Lots of little snippets in there. I'm not going to give any spoilers. It's full of spoilers. I cannot say anything about it being a spoiler, but yeah, that is a very cool one. So yeah, if you like a little bit of intrigue,
I think once the Siege of Terror books have actually all been out, and everything's been sort of outdone for about a year or so, we'll have to do like a big spoiler riddled conversation about it, where we just go through all the favourite moments of it.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm trying to be fairly respectful about the books, because I know some people haven't got around to reading them yet or whatever. There's a lot of them, to be honest, and some people may never read them. But there comes a point when, if you want to talk about it, you put the big banner up and go, by the way, tonight we're talking about it.
Yeah, we're talking about the siege, and we're talking about the heresy, and we're talking about the scarring. That's going to come after this, isn't it?
I've got volume 1, 2 of the next book, haven't we now? Which is I presume next year. But I think we had this conversation. I wonder if they're going to split it over 2 years and have volume 1 on first year, volume 2 on the second year.
Maybe. Who knows?
I kind of hope not. I kind of want it to be. It just feels like it being spread out for being spread out's sake, you know.
Yeah. You don't want it to end, really.
But I suppose from their point of view, they realise that it's done really well, and ultimately it's going to be a revenue stream that gradually dies off, because, you know, I suppose I don't think I've listened to many or read many current day 40k novels, as in like during the current timeline. You know, most of it has been Horus Heresy based.
Yeah.
In fairness, there's been. I mean, I think one of the ones I know you've got me a couple of Black Templars. Hell's Reach is obviously a good example of a book, but again, that's not current. That's kind of a little bit of a historical narrative battle. We listened to a White Scars one, if I remember correctly, where they were driving on the top of trains. The Hunter,
yep,
Vulture's Hunter or something like that. That was very bizarre, that one. And then we had the Soul Drinkers omnibus. I actually enjoyed that. That was a very odd but cool little story. But Soul Drinkers is quite a good. The chapter is quite a cool one to listen to, because of the way. Well, I won't spoil it, but you know, it's got some twists and turns in the story. So.
Yeah, there's some really cool 40k ones, but the problem is a lot of the 40k ones I've listened to are, like you said, now almost like historic ones, because then there's no Primaris, and so now you kind of gauge it. If there's Primaris, you think it's more up to date. If there's no Primaris, then it's like maybe.
I suppose the weird thing with the new Primaris books is, so even if you take the artwork on the cover, they've gone with a very different style and look. It looks more brighter and vivid, you know, color-wise for the new books, whereas obviously the old ones are much more kind of darker, and obviously I know it was quite a grim time during the Horus Heresy, but I feel like maybe the newer books aren't quite as gritty, I suppose, because they're trying to cater to a slightly more younger audience, I suppose.
I think the way you look at the Horus Heresy is kind of, let's say, like it's, you know, 40k is the history of 40k, but it's also the epic story of how like mankind almost achieved what they set out to achieve, but then it all just crumbled in. And you've got, you know, hundreds of thousands versus hundreds of thousands, millions getting killed, and yet 40k you don't seem to have that same
epic
kind of
level of stuff.
Scale.
Yeah. It's much more.
So what they're trying to do is put that across.
Yeah, I think 40k is much more of a struggle for trying to maintain any kind of power that anyone gains. It's not really about gaining it. It's more about, oh, hang on to this. Oh no, here they come again. Here comes the next wave of some form of horrific thing that's happening, and then another one that's bigger than that comes along and beats that down, and so on. It's like dogpiling, you know. Sort of.
Yeah, I mean, you've also got like the stuff with Gilliman, though, his plague wars and stuff. So I think they have ramped it up a little bit with that, but it's not going to achieve the same as Horus Heresy, is it?
Not until they realise that Black Templars have Crusade level forces. legions.
Legions, yeah.
They're going to turn around. Gilliam's going to come out and say, "I want to do a count of these Black Templars. I just want to see what's going on here."
Yeah, meant to be 1,000.
1,000 each, eh? And then sort of Crusade comes past. Well, that looks like about 5,000.
Yeah, in a minute.
Oh dear. No, but it's yeah, it's an interesting one. But yeah, I do hope they come up with some more interesting kind of, I suppose, ideas for current day stuff. 40k.
I'd love to see a proper Badab War
That would be epically
series.
cool.
That would be
Yeah.
really good.
Because
I mean,
that's just
really.
such a good story anyway. That just in general. I mean, obviously I've got both the main volume books for that. I mean, it's mainly about the artwork, those ones, to be fair. But yeah, the story's pretty. It's a pretty cool idea.
Because there's there's massive resource there that they haven't really looked into.
Mm-mm.
Same with the Siege of Vrax. You've got two massive, storylines there, for instance, that they could just tap into and do a small series of books on it instead of, the War of the Beast. What was that about?
Oh, I read. I think I read 4 books in that series, and it just got a bit kind of like, oh god. Yeah, we get it. There's
Orcs ramped up to 11. It's like, oh great, yeah. But then, I think that's the problem. It had no, as far as I'm aware, I might be wrong. It had no history before the series of books. There was no narrative about it before the series of books. It was literally like them just going, and this happened in the past. And you're like, did it? I never heard about it until now. I might be wrong.
You might, yeah. I mean, obviously we know there's a secret history of the Orcs, which I think is which most of this series is alluding to, obviously.
But the secret history of Orcs is all about Olinar, and it was all kind of there with the Emperor. But then they just went, oh well, we'll do it again. Let's have this again. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, quite. And Steve says, I would like to see the Civil War in Imperium. I feel like they feel too strong recently with the Primaris and yeah, it's an interesting one because obviously, I mean, the only thing I'd say is that with regards to the Imperium, I mean, they have just been ripped to shreds by a Chaos Warp Storm, and split in multiple pieces. But again, I get what you're saying because there seems to be like we've got these reinforcements now, we've got these reinforcements. We've got Gilliman back. It's all things are starting to get better, kind of thing, but they're not really.
Yeah, I'd like to see them utilize the different parts of the Imperium a bit more. So on the south you've got Gilliman and all his mates holding the line, or kind of beating back Chaos a bit, and then in the top they're kind of like nihilists. They're like, oh well, we're losing a bit of ground here, we're losing a little bit of ground here, we're short on reinforcements. But then what would be quite cool is if the line returned, and then there was that slight, we're on the same side, and they're like, are we? Yeah, we all know who's in charge, don't we? Yeah, we know who's in charge.
But then obviously, this is true. The overall feeling is that of hope. I think True Heroism is better than they feel they are on. Yeah, I think a lot of the books are written in that kind of perspective of survival. And also we've just had the Leagues of Votan just turn up as well out of the blue. How are they going to fit into this story? I mean, it's getting quite. I'd say it's getting quite crowded. I mean, space is big, but
yeah, move up, everybody, budge up.
I suppose there's probably an element of fear of moving the story on too much though, because you lose that what it's about. I think imagine if they shifted it so far that the Imperium got absolutely trounced and they were literally pushed all the way back to somewhere where near Terra, and then you had this next Space Marine Codex is like Primaris Crusader Squad remnants, and you get like 5 all in patchwork armor, and they're desperately trying to fight their way out of a hole, things like that, and then the Nids turn up and like, oh dear.
Well, what they tend to do, and what they as far as I can tell, is that every faction, like you get all the codexes, right? And even with the Imperium to a degree, They all go on about how great they're all doing. Like, oh, we've expanded. Oh, all these necrons are awoken. Oh, well, there's a massive orc war going on here. Oh, there's a massive hive fleet coming. What I'd quite like to see is, like, let's say Tau. They go, actually, it's going pretty badly for us at the moment. Like, our spheres are now reduced quite a lot. We're taking a bit of a hammering. Like, cool. Not everyone has to win. Just some people kind of like bring it back a bit.
Yes.
Even with chaos, that they might just go, "Oh, actually, I tell you what we're doing. We're undoing the big rift," and you just go, "We're back in the eye," because chaos is still cool. It doesn't mean that oh, we've got to have rip the galaxy apart to be doing well. Let's just live in the eye. Occasionally pop out somewhere else. Not everyone has to do well. We've got to have good and bad.
Steve-O, oh yes, mate. Well, take care, bud. Thank you for joining us for a little while. And yes, I've got you on our chat. That I just check where you were. So hopefully we'll sort something out soon, bud. I know the next month or so is going to be quite busy for me at least, but we'll definitely get something sorted as soon as we can, bud. So take care. Yeah.
That's the perfect north-south divide, north-winds. Oh, that's all good, Jack. How do we mute him? But use some timeout. There we go. Done.
But no, I agree with you on that point of like, there always has to be, just because you're playing a faction, they need to be doing really well for some reason. But they don't.
No, they really don't. No. Like, if they suddenly went, oh, yeah, I don't know, Necrons, they've all gone into sleep mode. Well, like 80% of them have gone to sleep mode. I wouldn't stop playing Necrons.
No.
It wouldn't stop me playing them on the battlefield. But it just seems that every faction has always got to be doing really well and kind of like, oh, yes, it's a massive threat that's happening. It's like, really? Why do we...
Because most stories are much more like flashpoints, you see. So you have like a thing that... And they'll use the flashpoints to describe like disasters, but they're not really big disasters. It's like a little focused disaster here, but everywhere else, it's, oh no, we're all right. So it was just one problem,
Yeah.
If a Tyranid invasion hit, they make out that they're huge. And yes, they are, but they always seem to focus it in like one system or something like that. And actually, if you think about it, they're going to be spread out over. If you look at the size of them, there's going to be multiple systems at the same time, like hit. And the Imperium's being out to be like just hanging on by their teeth. So they couldn't hold on against that.
Yeah. Just it's okay to lose some people from time to time.
I mean, obviously, for those who watch the the Space Marine series on Warhammer TV, that was that was quite an interesting take on it. But even then, you had a very small squad of Space Marines somehow, we can do it.
Yeah. Hold the line. Hold out, brothers.
Brother.
Brother.
Oh, hello, brother. That's what's going on behind me at the moment. These dreadnoughts having a little powwow. There you go. All four of them. You got the boat, double Leviathan. So,
when I find out who designed Chaos Space Marines have this much trim, I'm gonna hunt them down.
Oh, it was a suggestion I sent in.
Oh, really?
I said my friend Dom, he loves painting trim. He says he loves, especially on Helldrakes. In fact, he says there's not enough on Helldrakes.
Yeah.
So if you can put trim on the trim.
Smaller panels.
How's this dried, actually? Let's have a look. Yeah, it's not too bad, actually. It's not when you're doing edge highlighting and you get some lines that look absolutely perfect, and you do another one, it's like, ooh.
Yeah, oh dear.
I know.
That's not good.
Yeah. But it's fine. The overall aesthetic looks good. That's how I'm going to stick with it anyway.
It's all working out very nicely.
But yes. And Vicky is saying it's a pain. I think she's obviously referring to your
yeah, the trim.
The trim comment.
Sometimes you get the snap fit Marines. I look at them and I go, oh god, that's nice. Just panels, clear panels. Like you just put your brush on. Don't worry about the trim. Yeah, there we go.
I don't know. I mean, I'll say some of the. I mean, obviously this. If you take this guy as an example, the Crusader, the Sword Brethren, they are absolutely packed with
Yeah, they've got a lot going on
stuff
there,
on
haven't
there.
they?
Even the shoulder pads now, they've really ramped up the trim on them and things, and a lot of candles as well. These guys, they love candles in the 41st. I do wonder if they're actually wax candles or if they come up with a different kind of formula for it.
Imagine on a Black Templar ship, there's a lot of fires. There must be so many fires on those ships.
Candles.
Yeah, imagine all those parchments and old, really dry banners hanging around, and everyone's wearing like
refilling the methane
yeah.
flamers.
Everyone's got a cloak. I mean, I can imagine wearing a cloak. You kind of knock things over, and I would imagine on a Black Templar ship there are candles everywhere.
We all know Black Templars love to leave a room in an epic fashion, so they'll be swinging the cape as they're fucking over there.
Slamming a bulkhead, candles falling over.
So they literally, I think they have a servitor team of firemen. It's just they have been equipped with hoses for hands. That's it. They're just walking around behind like Helbrecht. He's just dripping candle wax everywhere. It's like, but my Lord Helbrecht, do you need these 90 candles on your shoulders? Yes. Hand me my heavy flamer so I can light my cigar. Oh dear. Oh god, we're going into another one of those things where I think we did this a while back, where we went into like a surf's life on a ship.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think a Black Templar surf is probably not a bad. It's probably not a bad life, right? Yeah.
I think it's not too bad. I think it's very stoic and kind of like
lots of prayers, prayer time.
Yeah, it's probably quite boring.
Yeah.
I reckon they'd get very angry if you were to be a serf and you were just talking too loud. They'd really have a go at you.
Or you weren't holding the right candle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Why have you got a candle?
Exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry,
had the wrong
Lord.
page open
sorry,
on the book. Absolutely, that's. I don't think there's many. I think that
this is all Templar. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think Templars probably have it worse than Sisters of Battle. They just love their candles so much. I think Word Bearers, obviously, they quite like a naked flame.
Yes.
And a couple of
a lot of scripture. They love their scripture.
A lot of scripture, yeah. I think it's just, that's part of it, though. They don't really mind. They know a fire's a fire. A fire's good. If anything, it purges
I reckon
people.
On a Word Bearers fleet, I reckon even their toilet paper is scripture. They have so 100%. Much. They're like, I
think they go to an Imperial Shrine World, pick up all the copies they can, everything they can.
There's like a little factory in the belly of the ship, sort of just rolling it up into. Better get the.
And I think if there was a fire, if they were genuinely concerned about fire, and they've got all their their cultists and their dark disciples all kind of going, oh no, there's a fire, let's put the fire there, and then they went, I'll just open up the airlock, just suck them all out.
We'll get some more in the next Imperial world.
Yeah. Close. Right. That room's now clear.
Fire's out. You take the mag boots off now. They wouldn't even leave the room.
Hey, master. I'm almost there. I'm almost. Gone. Game over.
Oh, God. Although, I'm trying to think of the worst place to work in the Imperial. Probably a corpse starch factory. Not knowing what you're doing as well. We're just making lunch. We're just making lunch.
But the only perk of the job is they get like a proper discount. They're like, oh, God.
At the end, on the way out.
Sorry, Gran, in you go.
You can buy your relatives.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's horrible.
Be a sanguineal day or whatever it is. It'd be like, oh. Get the carve up, Grandad. Little block. I reckon it's like a greeny brown colour.
Pull off the big wrap.
Spoon it out, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, just
a bit like corned beef. I reckon it'd be like greeny brown corned beef.
But I reckon they're not that subtle about it either. It's probably one of those machines.
No, everyone knows.
But it's probably just those machines which normally stamp metal, just like it's just like there we go, in you go.
Not even like grind it down, just stamp and press it. I reckon the way they advertise it, it's a bit like they advertise meat at the moment. When you've got happy looking cows, maybe like your gran and granddad holding hands. You are what you eat. You share a lot of DNA with them.
Oh god! No, it's disgusting.
The Imperium.
It's a screwed up place. Any side of the story. Oh Jesus Christ!
Yeah, there's no positives at all.
No, not really.
I'm listening to the Night Lords at the moment, and they're kind of like, they've kidnapped a couple of Imperial people, and they're like, oh, you're heretics, and the Chaos are like, well, at least we've got freedom doing this. And you're like, yeah, but you are going to get sacrificed at some point, or you're going to get flayed, or something like that. Like, there's no good life, is there really?
Because even if you
I said about the word bearers getting sucked out the airlock, probably a preferable death to being, ripped apart for a sacrifice.
Well, it's like that. I think there was a meme going about a little while ago of the Imperial Guardsman who takes out like a Tau battleship using a Tau rifle and then gets assassinated by his commissar for using the Tau rifle because it was sacred. You're like, what?
Yeah. Right, you gotta go.
Oh, save the day, did you? Didn't use the right weapon for that. Should have used your fist.
Yeah. Trusty Lasgun will take out that Riptide. Keep firing!
Put down that ion cannon. But sir, no.
Clog its gears up with your carcass.
Oh dear. No. That's yeah. I must admit, when you sort of read it, you think this is just a horrible place to be alive in.
There's a word bearer anthology, and in one of them you got the Imperial point of view, and so the word bearers are on this planet, and the Imperial troops are coming in. So it's the Guard and the Skitarii, and there's a bit where the Skitarii commanders kind of like, "All you're wounded." To the Guard commander, "All you're wounded. Can we actually have them so we can turn them into cyborgs?" No, you can't have them. I mean, they're going to die. They're biomatter we could use to kind of make stuff.
I mean, the Mechanicum's pretty bad as well, isn't it? It's sort of like, oh, you're getting a bit lippy. Let's take your tongue out.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
Put in a typewriter.
Those legs, they're not quite that efficient. We're just going to whip them off and put some spider legs for you. That's good. Get you around a bit quicker.
Put on a massive spring.
Like big Jack in a box. So
we're putting you on the ship that's the hallways are only 7 foot high.
You can't even enjoy yourself.
Yeah. No, you're not having a crash helmet. If anything, you're gonna have another spring.
God, that's Belisarius Cool's workshop, isn't it? He's just like, oh, what should I do next? Oh, I don't know.
How many springs can I put on a person?
Because that's what happened when they did the ATV. He's like, oh, that'll do. That looks brilliant. Looks really Space Marine-y, that does.
Yeah. Okay, apothecaries, you know how to bring one of these back.
Yeah. Just keep jabbing it until it starts working again. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Tech Marine, you stay over there. This is not your job.
Yeah. There you go. If I find some springs 40k, I'm making a spring servitor.
Maybe I could do it on the Dreadnought's feet.
Yeah, springs.
Give it moon boots.
There's a word bearer warlord trait to increase exalted possession to increase their movement. Maybe I'll just get a Chaos Lord and put springs on his feet.
Give him rollerblades.
Yeah, exactly. A rollerblades, or a skateboard.
Skateboard, yeah. So you can have a noise marine with a guitar and a skateboard.
Yeah. So
increase movement by up to 10 inches per round. Be fine.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing, clearly. So. Right. Well, anyway, I think I'm going to have to end it there, my friend.
Yep, no problem. No
Um,
problem.
but just want to say, I suppose, thank you everyone for watching us tonight. I hope we've given you a few laughs and good information and various other things. Sounds like a conversion for the Vulture 2. Okay.
Yeah. Springy feet.
Um, but yeah, I hope you've all everyone's enjoyed tonight's stream. As ever, if you are looking to purchase anything new, you should definitely check the links in our description.
Oh, go on, Tom. What do you mean?
Well, there's a company called Goblin Gaming out there. Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah, if you look just
Oh,
below, I'm just going to double check I'm giving the right information here. Actually, 1 second. No, the top right hand of the screen, you'll see there's a logo for Goblin Gaming, which is quite cool because they are the purveyors of quality gaming artifacts and supplies. And if you
yep.
check the description, it will take you to their website, and if you buy anything using that, we'll get a little bit of money, only a little bit, nothing major. Um, and it helps us to keep us ticking along with our little projects for the channel.
Yeah. And so, for instance, if you're building a massive Necron army, you should
Sam,
definitely use that link. And yeah, buy yourself something nice.
indeed. But
Cool
anyway,
stuff.
outside of that, I've been Tom, and this has been
Tom!
And together we are Blacktoad Studios, and we will see you all very soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye!